everybody. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to the Empowered Harmonizers today. And I want to zoom in and focus in on a very specific type of narcissist. They can even become really sociopathic or cruel and callous and cold. And that is really the charming bully narcissist who has a very large ego, very charismatic, oftentimes very powerful in their workplace, in their community, in their family, the bigger than life ego, where they will then use a very sort of force or charisma, which seems to be highly attractive or desirable by other people, that they tend to have a lot of onlookers or people who look up at them. They can be very good-looking people. They push their looks around in order to get what they want. They might push their money around, their status, to get what they want, to get off of tickets, to get out of rules, regulations, to have to pay their dues, special treatment, entitlement. And furthermore, the high use of scapegoats or exploitative practices on either other individuals or workforces to get what they want. Now, the charming bully, we usually, when we think of a bully, we think of the boy in the schoolyard who's got, who's really maybe big, bolstery, very belligerent, using a lot of square cuss words, not very smart, not your nerd, not your A student. You think of someone maybe who's not doing well in school. Because of this, he's overcompensating through use of force. And then he's got, others who are in his inner circle because they don't want to be the target of this bully. They don't want to be punched out in the lunchroom or the recess field. They don't want to have their lunch money stolen. They don't want to have their schoolwork destroyed out in the playground. They would rather cooperate than be annihilated by this bully. It's really they control through intimidation and fear. And we can see this in a lot of corporate cultures as well. This is not a new practice. We've always heard about the bully manager, the bully owner, who will exploit those workers and really use everything that they can from them and then just leave them high and dry without a job. Like they talk about Henry Ford, who back in the day would put all of his workers, his new workers, in the front line where it was really, easygoing, and you could do the work, and then as it sped up on down the line, it would go so fast that those workers in the back could barely keep up. And then basically they'd get, if they couldn't keep up, after 6 months, 9 months, they would just get pushed out the door. I mean, there was exploitation of this workforce. And I'm sure all of the viewers here who can relate to that, either as an individual or perhaps the narcissist that they're thinking of, the psychopath, who was the charming bully, who pushed their weight around, who would use their voice to intimidate. It's a very directional. When we talk about bullies, we also have to talk about the supply that they take on, and then also the scapegoating that they do. They will tend to take on a sort of posse or a group of followers or people who they stay connected with, because those people would rather oblige and adhere to the requirements or the demands rather than being the scapegoat. It's kind of like, well, you see what can happen if you don't cooperate with me, if you're not on my good side, you can have this happen to you. So they really tend to control, and they tend to have very much of a power, ego rush when they engage in this behavior. In other words, they really kind of know what they're doing. It's very pre-calculated, and they tend to be lovers of power, lovers of control, lovers of status. They're very charming, charismatic individuals. So it doesn't mean that all charming, charismatic people are bullies, but we're talking about a very specific type of malignant narcissist here who will take on supply, who are their, unerring, fledgling followers in supply, and, will go out of their way to prop them up. And, you've seen this perhaps in your work environment. the good looking guy in the suit with the big smile and the big hair and the big shoes and the big briefcase, and he comes flying in the door, and he's always got the jokes or the flashy power tie, and he's talking about his business conquests and ha ha ha, and he's just like life of the office, life of the party, the charismatic bully. Little do you know the boundaries he's crossed, the people he's violated, man and female alike, but most likely the opposite sex who he has taken advantage of. We hear so much in the news nowadays, it's just coming up about the charismatic bully, the sports figures who are in trouble now with the law for sexual harassment issues, etc., which are out of line. Those are your charismatic bullies. They are using their positions, their power, their good looks, their money, their cars, their status, their clout to intimidate others. In other words, it's the shock factor, it's the wow factor. Oh, wow, I've got Walter Payton, wanting to date me. I might as well, just lay down and get whatever I can. Do you see what I'm saying? It creates a mindset of a wow factor, a shock and awe. Wow, I would rather, I will do anything for this person feeling. And people lose sight of reality or lose sight of being realistic around them because they would rather be part of the posse, the support group, than be those who are targeted. Now, when we talk about scapegoating, we're talking about exploiting another who they have really sort of picked out of the pecking order, if you will. The one with a little bit of blood, like we talk about, chickens and the pecking order of chickens. In other words, the one who gets beat up is the one who's got a little bit of a sore, and all the others just start pecking at it. I mean, it's just disgusting. I don't eat chicken, so I don't even like that story, but you hear what I'm talking about. Or, it's that the nerd, now who's like the Bill Gates who's running the Microsoft or the Facebooks of the world, or your Silicon Valley, your really smart, sharp software engineers who are very extremely intelligent and book smart, but they might have very slight physiques or very soft-spoken individuals. So those, these are the typical people who might be the butt of the jokes of these sort of people. They might be scapegoated as a class or a culture, or if you found yourself around this person, you might have seen them scapegoat and sabotage another. To scapegoat means to really hang all the burdens on them and really sort of target them for poor treatment. Give them undeserved anger or mistreatment. So, in other words, there's nothing that they have done to warrant the poor behavior, the false accusations, the lack of support, the lack of responsiveness, or the lack of warmth. It is just they have used this person to unload their unhappy, insecure feelings, just to show, like for a sheer show of power or control, or because I can. And it gives them a relief of tension. So it has nothing to do with the individual, but who gets targeted is usually those people who are speakers of the truth, or who are very keenly aware or sensitive in nature. And so then these individuals then go through life, disliking their personality, or disliking the fact that they're sensitive, or disliking the fact that they're empathetic. They have a good heart, that they have a big heart, a very strong heart, and a very special talent in this area. These are your artists, your composers, your poets, your authors, your screenwriters who toil laboriously in the night and then create these magnificent plays and are like the ghostwriters behind the scenes that very often get very little credit, but they have huge and glorious and gorgeous talent. But then because of being scapegoated, now some people can have those qualities and never have the misfortune of being targeted in this way. They might have, had an uneventful life in this, but these are, if you have found yourself targeted or scapegoated by these individuals, oftentimes these people then tend to really sort of dislike this gift, or they tend to regret who they are or what they are. They haven't been able to see themselves as magnificent, even though your sensitivity and your empathy is a gift. It is what makes you magnificent. It is what makes you great. It is what makes you unique. It is what makes you special and miraculous. It is your awareness. It is your sensitivity. It is your empathy that is your best quality. But the narcissist, because they see all others as an extension of themselves and do not have empathy and are threatened by people who try to draw out a humanity, a humanness, i.e. a connection, or the understanding that we're all connected at some level, they would rather live in denying of this reality. So it's a sheer show of a narcissist bully's ignorance that they cannot embrace the sensitivity, empathy, and qualities of others. They, especially those who they have targeted, they are trying to alienate and push these people away because it calls to light the fact that they might not know everything. They might not have everything. They might not have it all. They don't have your gift of empathy. So what better way to annihilate it or squash it into the ground and to take you prisoner so you would never ever begin to enjoy the fruits of your unique quality, that which makes you, you, and really to understand that your sensitivity, your inspiration, your big heart is your connection to your higher source. It is your connection to the divine. It is your connection to infinite intelligence. It is that which inspires you. It's that which gives you passion. But if you have been scapegoated, chances are that you have then been in the firing line of this. If you're with a, or know a narcissist bully, those are the people who are trying to quench and annihilate or extinguish your flame, your inner you, your sensitivity, your truth, your voice, that which makes you. It is because they are threatened by it. They are very uncomfortable with feeling equal to. They are very uncomfortable with not having power and control. For the charming bully narcissist, they feel, quote unquote, connected to others if they can control and power them. So as you, as somebody of humanity, of empathy, of sensitivity, of talent, of creativity and heart, you feel connected to others through the experience of humanity, of knowing the full rich spectrum of human emotion. And you know that to give and to share is to be rich. It is that with which the charming narcissist does not feel connected. They cannot do it. They cannot connect to others in that way. It's very threatened to them. They would have to be humble. They would have to have humility. They would have to have social graces to realize perhaps that they are not in control of everything. They are not in power over everything. This is very frightening and very, this causes them to feel unsettled. This causes them to freak out, flip out, and to alienate or not have very close relationships. In fact, these are the people who, or even business relationships, these are the very difficult people to be married to, because you will always have to be second fiddle. You will always have to be backseat to this person. It's, my way and, my way and the highway, and your way is, not any way. They are not, not often, maybe in a 1%, be able to take your viewpoint and listen to you and make you feel good. It is oftentimes their goal and objective to annoy, frustrate, and make you feel bad about yourself, and to the point where it's debilitating. When I talk about the seriousness of this, I'm talking of utter and grave seriousness, to the point where your life can be derailed for decades, to the point where you might not be able to have or create a family. You might not be able to work or have gainful employment or work in a setting with this type of person. You might have your job threatened. Your your job messed up. You find that your special project that you've been working on, it suddenly disappears. Strange things are missing from your desk. Whole files are missing. Things that you need to do just to keep your job in order. You might find that you are not able to study or work or focus. For the young people on this channel who have these types of people as parents, who are deathly jealous of their children and go into rageaholic fits when their child succeeds. These are the people who will slap their children when they get an A, who are your stellar performers in math or science or socially. They can have social graces. Next thing you find is that they're getting beaten up by their parents, scolded, starved, told that they're spoiled, told that they don't deserve things, that they're not worthy. I didn't get this when I was a kid. Why should you? I mean, they hold them back. It is very, very, very sad to see, and very, very difficult and painful to go through this experience if you're around a bully, quote unquote, charming narcissist. And, really then you realize that they're not that charming when you realize really there's a very unattractive element inside. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. We could talk all day about this, and we'll continue. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to the Empowered Harmonizers. I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.